Right, we need to move on, but just while we've got you here, Nigel Farage, or should that be Nigel Farage? We can't let you go without attempting to answer one. It's one of the burning questions of the week, if not really of all time. Have a listen to this from Prime Minister's Questions on Wednesday.
With the United Kingdom facing our most momentous decision for a generation in 8 weeks' time, does the Prime Minister think it makes more sense for us to listen to all of our closest friends and allies around the world, or to a combination of French fascists, Nigel Farage and Vladimir Putin?
Well, I'm glad he takes the English pronunciation of Farage rather than the rather poncy foreign-sounding one that he seems to prefer. I think that's a thoroughly good thing.
Well, is it Farage or Farage? And is one as English as John Bull, warm beer and county cricket, and is the other as foreign as the Prime Minister would say, poncy as croissants, cappuccinos, and kissing on both cheeks? Well, who better to give us the definitive answer than the head of pronunciations for the Oxford English Dictionary, Dr. Catherine Sangster. She's in our Oxford studio. Over to you, Dr. Sangster. How does this play out? What's the correct pronunciation?
Well, the first thing to say is that we don't normally put surnames and personal names in the dictionary unless they're also a noun or a verb or associated with something. So, sadly, Farage isn't in the dictionary as a personal name.
Take that, Nigel Farage.
But I would say that anybody, if it's your name, you can say it how you like. But there are lots of words that we have in English that we've brought in from French that end with age. Some of them you always say age, like village. Some of them you always say age, like collage or sabotage. So, and some of them can go either way, like barrage. You say barrage balloon, but you usually say barrage, or portage for moving a canoe, and of course garage. I think that Nigel used that example himself in his own defence. Yeah.
But is the English equivalent of Farage with a DGE? Is there any connection?
Well, there's no D there in this. I mean, if there were a D in the spelling, then yes, idge would be the most predictable pronunciation. But surnames are funny things. They don't always behave like words, like other words. They often, the pronunciation of surnames can lag behind. I think of all the sort of funny Chumley, Fanshawe type things where the spelling is miles away from the pronunciation. I mean, the other thing I think is worth saying about surnames is there are lots of British surnames that have two pronunciations. I mean, Norman Lamont was an example that sprang immediately to mind and is perhaps relevant in this particular case, because most Scots, as Andrew you'd probably recognise, most Scots would say lament.
He used to say lament when he was known as Wee Peary Norrie in the Shetlands.
Well, in later life.
But after Loretto in Cambridge, it became Lamont.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's other names like Liddell, Liddell, those kind of things. Stress shifting around in names is fairly predictable, and there's nothing especially foreign about it.
Where does Farage come from?
I have no idea.
No?
Perhaps Nigel does.
Well, let's ask him. Where does it come from?
Well, it was originally a Huguenot name from sort of the French-Luxembourg borders, spelt differently. And what's interesting, if you go back through parish records over centuries, you see that generation after generation, the spellings of names changed. And actually, there was an Faridge going back into history. But in 1840, at a wedding in East London, this particular spelling arrived. And the Prime Minister, who is home counties educated, went to Eton. I mean, do you think David Cameron parks his car in a garage? I don't think so.
You think he parks it in a garage?
People from Bolton park their car in a garage, and they call me Farage. And people from Oxfordshire generally call me Farage. Like
what do you park your car in?
I'm a soft southerner, so it's a garage.
Garage. And how pronounce your name for us? Because as Dr. Sangster said, it's your name. You can determine how to pronounce it.
I say Farage.
Farage.
Yep. As I would say garage.
Very well.
But thank you for going to the effort. I mean, it's wonderful.
No, the Daily Politics is public service broadcasting at its finest. Dr. Sangster, thank you very much for joining us this morning. It's been good to talk to you. Thank you. And thank you, Nigel Farage.
You didn't frankly have the balls to put country before party.